Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.
Good evening. I will call the meeting of the Neenah City Common Council to order for Wednesday, September 5th, 2018. Welcome you all here. First item of business will be the roll call. Members will check in on the roll call machine and answer the clerk as your name is called, please.
Alderman Boyette.
Here.
Bates.
Here.
Illstrom.
Here.
Lendrum.
Here.
Erickson.
Here.
Lang.
Here.
Steele.
Here.
Coons.
Here.
Stevenson.
Here. All members are...
Danae.
Sorry.
There you go.
And you did say.
You did.
All members are present. There's a quorum present. Tonight, please join us. The pledge will be led by Alderman Erickson.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, tonight, first thing we have some, item number 2 is the mayor's appointments. Tonight I'd like to reappoint Joshua Cutney, Pat Lowney, and Susan Antonow, all reappointments on the Committee of Aging for new 3-year terms that will expire September 2021.
Move to approve the mayor's appointments.
There's a motion by
Second.
Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Lendrum. We have one of those members with us tonight, Josh Cutney. I appreciate you coming. We're going to swear him in. Good. Josh, you want to say anything to the group here? Or? No? Good. Well, we appreciate what you're doing. Josh has taken a real lead role on that committee and has helped with the College for Seniors and that program, along with Marge and a bunch of other folks. They do a great job. And Josh helps us with Lakeland College, and we really appreciate your service and your volunteer work. Okay. All right. There's a motion and a second to approve those 3 appointments. All in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no. Using the roll call machine, please. That motion passes 9-0. And Josh, come up. Clerk Stern will swear you in.
I brought 2 witnesses, sir.
I guess. I asked them how school was. They sounded pretty excited. So
It's the first week.
Okay, if you raise your right hand. I, Josh Cutney,
I, Josh Cutney,
having been appointed a member
having been appointed a member
of the Committee on
of
Aging
the Committee on Aging
of the City of Neenah,
of the City of Neenah,
Winnebago County,
Winnebago County,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support the Constitution
to support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of Wisconsin,
of the State of Wisconsin,
and faithfully discharge the duties
faithfully discharge the duties
of a member of the Committee on Aging,
of a member of the Committee on Aging
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, boys, you can tell he's a pretty big deal here, huh? Good job. All right, well, thank you very much for your service. We really do appreciate it. Item number 3 is the approval of council proceedings of August 15, 2018, regular session.
Move to approve.
There's a motion
Second.
by Lindrum, seconded by Bates, to approve the proceedings of August 15th, 2018. Is there any corrections, additions, discussion? Being none, all in favor, vote aye. All opposed, vote no, using the roll call machine, please. That motion passes 9-0. There are no public hearings tonight, nor are there any plan commission reports. Next item of business is the public forum. The public forum is an opportunity for any citizen or anyone to come before the council, speak before the council and the mayor on any topic or issue that they would like. We welcome your input, so if anyone who is watching this at home, it's your opportunity to come if there's a problem or question or a compliment or a suggestion. We welcome you, and you're welcome to come down and speak to the council. We ask that you give your name and your residential address, and you're allowed up to 5 minutes to speak. Excuse me. With that, is there anyone here who would like to address the council? Mark Westfall, Mr. Westfall, come on up. Welcome.
My name is Mark Westfall. I live at 945 Hunt Avenue here in Neenah. I come before you tonight as president of the Fox Valley Area Labor Council. As many of you may know, we just had a very successful 36th annual Labor Day parade and celebration, and I'd like to give my thanks to the city, the mayor, the police department, and the fire department for all their help and participation in making that happen. We had a very successful parade. I actually think we had one of the bigger crowds in Neenah than I remember seeing in a long time, so good for them. The Fox Valley Area Labor Council has never discriminated against anyone when it came to participating in the Labor Day parade. We do value diversity and welcome all. However, that will change unless the Labor Council receives an apology from Roger Roth, Mike Rohrkast, and Glenn Grothman. This is, after all, a Labor Day parade. We try to highlight the various unions in the area. I do give them preference in the parade lineup. For the past 2 years, Grothman, Roth, and Rohrkast have not followed their lineup directions. It's not a mistake. They're doing this on purpose. They feel that they're privileged, that they don't have to follow or obey the rules. They are being rude and inconsiderate to the rest of the people in the parade. So if in the future you hear that I'm complaining about them in the parade, it's not because of their party affiliation. It's because of their manners. Now, I thank you for indulging me. I know this might seem petty to some of you, but believe me, to many of the other participants in the parade, this was noticed and was not appreciated. I thank you.
All right, thank you for coming. Anyone else like to address the council at this time? Chief?
Aaron Olson, Neenah Police Chief. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce our new Assistant Chief, Chris Sievert. Most of you know Chris. He's been with us for over 20 years, came from us from Milwaukee PD for 5 years. So with that, you want to say a couple words?
Just come on up and tell us a little bit about
Putting you on the spot.
I want to thank everybody for the support that everybody's given to our department and given to me over the years. It's a great honor for me to take this role. I'm at a point in my career where I feel that this is an opportunity for me to give back and help us move our agency into the future. And the leadership that we have at our agency is, I don't think it's ever been any stronger. So we have a lot of young officers that will be the future faces of the Neenah Police Department over the next 25 years. And I just feel honored that I have the opportunity to work with everybody and work with them to make our department a lot better in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief, and good luck, Chris. I appreciate it. And I would tell you, we've had a long list of great captains and now a new assistant chief, and make us proud and be careful out there. And we wish you well. And, you know, we've got a lot of quality professionals, including my father, and who've been a part of this organization. I do believe it just keeps getting better. And the fact that we're bringing up dedicated, qualified, professional people from within, I think says something about our organization too. So good luck. Okay, anyone else? Anyone else like to address the council on any topic? Right, seeing none, I will close the public forum. Usually there's a mayor council consideration. Oh, there is, I'm sorry. Is there anyone who'd like any comment? All right, seeing none, we will go to item number 8, which is the consent agenda. Is there a motion on the consent?
I'd like to take one item off that, and that item C, the street use for Plexus Family Run.
You'd like to take the item number C. There's been a request by Alderman Coons to take item C off the consent agenda and vote on that separately. Okay? Anyone else?
I move to approve the remaining 4 items on the consent agenda.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion on the consent agenda? We do have with us tonight Ned Hughes, a representative from the St. Joe's 5K run, is here also. So Ned, thank you for coming, at least in case there was any questions. Appreciate your time. Any questions, comments? Being none, all in favor of the consent agenda will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0. Good. Reports of standing committees. Regular Public Services and Safety Committee meeting of August 28th, 2018. Chairperson Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting out from the regular Public Services and Safety Committee meeting of August 28th, 2018. The minutes can be found on the city website. I will be reporting out the previous item C as my number 5. Committee recommends the council approve the police department receipt of a Rotary Club grant in the amount of $2,730 to be used for their family fun night event, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Hillstrom. Are there any questions or comments? If not, I would just like to say that the Rotary Club of this area does a lot for this community, not just this event, giving us dollars, but they help us in a lot of other ways. They planted approximately 110 trees, I think, this year throughout the city, trees in our parks. Made a big commitment on that, provided manpower, provided dollars for the trees. We want to say thank you to all the service clubs in our area. They're all pretty active, but the Rotary Club seems to step it up and really takes a huge part in this community. And this weekend, I'll give them a little plug because this weekend they have Seafood Fest, which runs Friday and Saturday at Jefferson Park. So, all in favor of the motion will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine, please. That motion passes 9-0.
Committee recommends council approve the remodel and updates to the evidence room to run concurrently with the roof repair of the Neenah Police Department with an estimated total cost of $154,485 with funding to come from borrowed funds included in the 2018 CIP budget, and I would so move.
Second. Motion by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Lendrum. Discussion. Alderman Coons.
Thank you, Mayor. Question and comment. First question is, I thought when I looked at the minutes that it was these 2 items were coming to 172 or some other number other than this number. Help me understand that.
Captain Gonzalez, welcome.
Thank you very much. Good evening. When we originally were planning this, the estimates that we had obtained at the time, that's where the money came from. And once we actually got some bids, it came lower.
Okay. And then the other one is, when it comes to evidence, it seems like, I don't know, every year we could probably build it seems endless warehouses and we never have enough space for evidence, it seems. We just added a new facility on Station 31, and now we're looking at needing this. What if we didn't follow the rules? What if we didn't keep things indefinitely? What if we didn't? I can't imagine every facility, every place is able to meet every requirement out there based on evidence if it's indefinitely. And that's it's a long time. So what happens if we don't follow everything?
I'm not quite sure, but I would not want to be the first department to find out. One of the things that is happening is that the laws have been changing in terms of retention of evidence, and there have been a lot of requirements placed on departments that are frankly burdensome. I know Chief Olson has mentioned in the past that departments have been so burdened by this that they are building entire garage facilities to house all this long-term evidence. But I would like to actually go back to the actual project that we are requesting money for, because the intent here and what we're trying to accomplish is totally different from keeping more stuff. It's just more efficient ways of doing it, specifically to deal with some of the hazardous drugs and chemicals that we are having to contain.
Thank you.
Alderman Lundrum.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple things. Can you describe how fentanyl has changed how you do evidentiary work with the drugs? Because that is new.
Absolutely. Just a quick recap. In terms of fentanyl, the reason that it's come to the scene is because it's something that is very cheap to purchase and is usually cut along with the actual heroin or drugs, and now they've been cutting it into just about any kind of drug. And what they do with cutting is that they basically increase their quantities so that they can make more money. So a lot of this product is moving through, and you'll see it when it comes in waves. So once you have an overdose death or an overdose incident, then you know we're going to have more in a short time in the area, because it comes with the actual shipment. Not every shipment is as strongly laced with fentanyl. The problem is that we don't know what has and what doesn't. And I know we've had several incidents in the area that you're probably aware of, as close as Menasha, that the officer just happened to be, just brushed off a little dust on his uniform, and that was enough for him to breathe it in. And by the time that he was getting close to Winnebago County Jail, he started losing control of himself. He started feeling like he was going to pass out, and he made it to the jail. And because of fentanyl and the experience and the exposure and the changes in policies, the jailers at Winnebago County actually had Narcan to administer, or naloxone. And that actually, it took 2 doses for this officer to come back. So the reality has changed the way our job works, where we used to see something that was suspicious, we would open it up and take a look, and now we have to be even careful about opening any kind of bag out there, because just getting out into the air could be enough of a contaminant. So it's changed our process and procedures where we actually have to have, if we suspect that kind of drug in a vehicle, or even simply drugs, we have officers put on a minimum amount of protective equipment. And I say minimum because you could go all out with a full suit if you know for a fact that that's what you're dealing with. That's what you should be doing. But it goes as far as even the procedures that we have inside the department. When you have an officer going to process evidence, well, now inside the room, there's one officer that's working on the evidence, but there's another one that's outside the room, hopefully outside of any kind of contamination, but with a couple of naloxone doses, just in case that something happens to that officer. Now, we have gotten as far as saying we are not processing anything that we believe could contain that or has a high potential to be fentanyl. We do not process that at all. Within the department, we would send that to the state crime lab, but we don't always know what is contaminated and what is not. So it definitely has changed the way that we process evidence, the way that we think about looking into another person's car, and the equipment that we carry with us when we go out.
In committee, you talked about the need for this renovation and how the HVAC system will have to change in order to deal with this potential contamination too?
Yes, and just to recap, that's one of the reasons that we're having to do this remodel, is that it includes a separate area to actually house all these drugs, and that separate area has to have its own independent heating and ventilation system that can actually essentially suck all those chemicals out of the room and not recycle it through the whole department. Because if we have a contaminant loose in our current evidence room right now, that goes through the whole department through the ventilation system. So in theory, not in theory, if it happens, in practice what we would have to do is clear out the whole building and basically decontaminate the whole place. So that would severely hamper the operations of the department within. So that's what we're trying to avoid with this new system.
Thank you. And also, I know that the mayor and some of the committee members had some, I guess, concerns about the renovation, and wondering if the chief, if you could just, in your weekly update that you send us, could you send us a construction update too, and just kind of let us follow along and see how this is going, because we did have so many questions in committee about it. Thank you. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. Alderman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. And one other thing about the splitting of the air conditioning, I was assured that when they are exhausting it from an area that could be contaminated, it is filtered before it goes out into the general air supply for the neighborhood.
That is correct.
Hey. Anyone else? Questions? All right. Seeing none, there's a motion and a second to recommend council approve the remodel and updates to the evidence room. All in favor, at the cost of $154,485. All in favor of that motion, vote aye. All opposed, vote no, using the roll call machine, please. That motion passes 9-0.
Committee recommends council accept the agreement for professional services from Ayers and Associates for construction administration for Phase 2 Washington Park in an amount not to exceed $10,000 using the 2018 CIP funds, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Hillstrom. Discussion. Alderman Lundrum?
Thank you, Mayor. Could I ask Director Kading to come up and talk about this? And also, I'm going to ask him the same thing for the next motion too. So I don't know if he's allowed to talk about both of them at the same time, or he has to wait. But
well, we'll do them one at a time,
okay,
because one is for Phase 2 and the others are for 3 and 4, and they're little different birds. So
and I will ask him again for the
fine.
Next one.
Good. Director Kading, come on up. I'm just going to grab some water.
Can you, Director Kading, thank you for coming up. Can you talk, as you did in committee, about what this specific $10,000 will be used for in Washington Park?
Certainly, it's not to exceed. It's a contract or an agreement with Ayers and Associates to help us oversee and manage the Phase 2 construction. You know, they'll pull the when they go to the pits and they get gravel, they'll verify amounts, they'll measure, they'll stake, and they'll take care of business on behalf of the city.
So can you describe Phase 2 in a little bit more detail?
Certainly. Phase 2 is expected to take care of the areas for the play and fitness equipment that is to be installed, and also to deal with stormwater damage, the stormwater drainage in and around those specific areas. It'll include concrete, asphalt, and excavation in anticipation of installation of the play equipment and fitness equipment.
So you are saying that the drainage is not complete, and the drainage plan, I guess, is not.
As we go through each phase, we have to tie in, and everything has to, come together as a big puzzle. So one puzzle's here, and we have to tie those all together as we move through the phases.
So this is only designed for the drainage for Phase 2. This has nothing to do with necessarily with the drainage for Phase 1, correct, other than just tying into the original, because would you consider Phase 1 drainage complete?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And then I'll first ask you then.
You betcha.
Next time.
Okay. So do we have a motion? We do have a motion.
Motion and second.
Alderperson Boyette, discuss the motion.
Thank you. Director Kading, I was looking through the notes from the Public Service and Safety, and there was a amendment to the agreement from the heirs, and it said basically the scope of services. And from what I'm reading and from what you just told us, these items here on the list I find, I guess, again, I don't do your job, so therefore I don't proclaim to be an expert, but I would think that a lot of this scope of service could be handled by you or your office. But then to hear you just say that this 8 to 10,000, not to go over the 10,000, is basically just for them at the gravel pits?
No.
So I'm confused.
No, when the general contractor goes and purchases material, we want to make sure that they purchase the material, it ends up on site, and it's there what we need to have there. So we just want to have someone that can verify that the quantities that are purchased and ordered on our behalf are the quantities that end up and are needed on site. And that's what an engineering firm, and that's what they'll do on our behalf.
But you are indeed going to be at these 12 consecutive meetings and the punch list completion and all these other things that are on the scope of service list, correct?
Certainly. That's my job. My job is to be there, to be kind of grouchy and crabby with the contractor and be on site from a daily basis, making decisions. But
that's actually what I thought this was, and why I had said I believe that these would be your job, but
I'm not an engineer, and I'm not gonna do the measurings and the topos and make sure that we need an engineer to do that kind of stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? All right, seeing no one else, there's a motion and a second to the council accept the agreement for professional services from Ayers and Associates for construction administration for Phase 2 of Washington Park in the amount not to exceed $10,000 using 2018 CIP funds. All in favor of the motion, vote aye. All opposed, vote no. That motion passes 8-1.
Committee recommends council accept the agreement for professional services from Ayers and Associates for design, engineering, and bid document services for phases 3 and 4 at Washington Park to be bid either consolidated or split in an amount of $76,556 using 2018 CIP funds, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Hillstrom. Alderman Lundrum, would you like to have Director come up?
I would, thank you. Director Kading.
Come on up.
Can you please explain this one also the way you did in committee?
Certainly. So what we're asking for tonight is to begin engineering and design services for phases 3 and 4 in anticipation. And when we went to the spring CIP, we moved Washington Park 3 and 4 into 2019. So in anticipation of going through the budgetary process here in November and finalizing that, upon approval, we would like to be set up, ready to go from an engineering, design, and construction bid standpoint so that January 1st, January 3rd rolls around, we can get out on the market with construction firms and get the bidding process going. We felt that we were late hitting the market this year, and it caused some concern about the number of bidders and availability of contractors to do the work. So in anticipation of that, we'd like to get working on that yet this fall and put it in order so that when January 1st, 2019 rolls around, we're ready to be on the market in anticipation of getting better bids as well as more contractors' availability to bid on projects.
Thank you. Can I ask another question?
Sure.
While I'm here? Can you give me the total of all 4 phases?
It's not, I don't have it right in front of me, but I believe it's 2.4 total. I'd have to go back here, and I certainly can do that.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Boyette.
Thank you. So I'm not happy with the engineering that happened with phase one. I'm not happy with how the payment got paid and there's still drainage issues. I'm not happy with the engineering, period. I'm hoping that with this next phase, you will somehow work out a way to include the drainage problems that still exist from phase one and get them taken care of in these final phases, because they need to be. And payment was already made and it's a done deal. You can't go back and undo it. So I'm just hoping that somehow that gets worked into this next phase. Do you have plans for that?
No, I don't. But if you have concerns, I would greatly...
I have had concerns from the beginning, and I've expressed them
and I've
several
called you,
times.
and you didn't respond. I've offered to meet on site. I would gladly do that, and I will continue to gladly meet on site with anybody that has concerns. And if you want to document the concerns, please report them back to my office.
I absolutely have, with photographs. I've gone to the mayor's office. I've gone to your office. You've gotten emails. I've never had you agree to meet me at that park.
I've called and left a message, Carrie. I can't.
My name is Kathy.
Kathy.
All right, I'm not going to
But I have
back
called.
and forth here. If there's legitimate questions, Alderman Lundrum, ask your question. Make it in the
Boyette.
form of a question.
Boyette.
Boyette.
That's all.
That's Kathy Boyette. I'm Carrie Lindrum.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
I did. I made it
Okay.
a question. I asked, does he have plans to fix the engineering drainage issues from phase one?
Okay, that's a question. So,
And
Director
he said
Kading,
no.
Would
I don't-
that be in the scope of this or not?
It could be, but I don't see engineering problems. In fact, over our last multiple rainfall events, I have seen an incredible resource act and respond exactly the way it needs to respond. The system filled up, the system held it back, and the system released it in a timely fashion, which the remaining drainage and ponds and sloughs could handle it. It operated perfectly. And in fact, it operated so well that I'm confident that we positively impacted the neighborhood and we didn't spill water off of the site.
But we
Creating
still
more
flooded
than-
a brand new parking lot.
But that's what we needed to do, Kathy.
We needed to flood the brand new parking lot that you just had put
Yes.
in.
That's it.
So every time it rains at that park, we have a flooded parking lot.
Not every time.
Yeah, every time.
Not every time, Kathy.
I'm not going to argue with
every
you.
time. When you get 7 inches of rain, and I'll hold up Doty Street, I'll hold up Columbian Street, I'll hold up the corner of Commercial in Winneconne. That was a lot of rain.
All right, any other questions, Alderman Boyette? Okay, thank you. Alderman Kuhn.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just meaning to send a email to Director Kading, and I keep on forgetting to, so I'm going to save myself some time. And basically, I was amazed when I drove past Washington Park the morning after the rain that had flooded so many streets, and to find that entire area dry. No standing water when I came by was amazing. So, I mean, in an area that was usually wet, was wet, 6 weeks after it rained, to see that was incredible. I also had to mention the plantings on the islands there in the parking lot look fabulous. So it's something I wanted to get out there, and I had an opportunity to.
All right, thank you. Now, Alderman Lundrum. Sorry about that.
Thank you. My issue is just with the cost of all of these new park developments. In my opinion, this is a neighborhood park. To spend $2.4 million on this, then we add in development of Arrowhead, Loop the Lake. These are millions of dollars, millions. And my opinion is that we are spending way too, and when we add in changing over the $2.7 million in changing how we do garbage, this is a lot of money we're spending in the next couple years. So our streets are falling apart. Our streets are flooding. Our infrastructure is extremely old. And to be spending millions and millions of dollars on, my opinion, a luxury, which are parks, and I am not going to support Washington Park as I haven't in the past. So I'll be voting against this one also.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to accept the agreement for professional services from Ayers and Associates for Phase 3 and 4 will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call. That motion passes 7-2.
And reporting out the item that was taken off the consent agenda, the committee recommends approval of the street use permit for the Plexus Family Run Walk to be held on Saturday, September 15th, 2018, with the deletion of any reference to the use of North Water Street as part of the course, and I would so move.
Alderman Bates moves.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Lindrum. Alderman Kunz?
Thank you, Mayor. I had a couple concerns with this that I wanted to at least address. One is this is fairly unique in that it's a private run, not open to the public. I felt better finding out at least that the trestle wouldn't be, or the loop wouldn't actually be shut down, but used. At the same time, it looks like we're also allowing a tent to be put up on city land. And I guess the question is, if my family and I want to put a tent up on the lawn there, are we going to allow that and really not charge me anything for it? And if I want to have a run, are we going to allow that as well, as long as I pay the $440? If we are, then okay, maybe. But it's something we haven't done and something we need to be very careful about in our approach. I have not, and I said earlier, I wasn't a big fan of utilizing Loop the Lake for every run that comes along. Because I see it, first of all, we had state money given to us. I see it as a regional attraction, and I want to ensure that it stays a regional attraction. And one of the first races we have on it is a private one. Isn't exactly the best start for me as the best use of that. I want people to be able to go down there and utilize it, and it's going to be basically used for this event for 3.5 hours. So I just have a lot of different concerns about that. I understand Plexus, they help pay taxes on the lawn, and maybe we would normally charge for that, or maybe would allow that, but for them, we'd waive that. Okay, I could even go along with that, but we aren't even addressing the fact of that. Now, we've had other events on there, but they've been community events. Everyone welcome. They've been something, I think, a bit of a draw for the community. This is different. I appreciate everything that Plexus has done. They are a cornerstone to that downtown and helped us turn that literal corner of that in development. So I'm appreciative of that, and I'm thoughtful of that, but I am concerned about what we're setting up. And without anything in place, I think we're putting together, saying anyone can have an event and close it and have it just be for them. It just brings up many concerns on that level. And I don't have all the answers, and I know time is of the essence here because the event's coming up, but it is one where, and maybe I'm the only one that's concerned about that. That's the case, then we vote, we move on. But if there's other concerns, I look at that. The other one is, and actually, I'll make a motion to amend this motion. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find it again. To strike out with deletion of any reference to the use of North Water Street as part of the course. And can I make that motion electronically?
You would like to strike after 2018? Or after 2018?
Yes.
Which reads with the deletion of any reference to use North Water part of it.
Since that was on the application.
Okay, there's a motion by Alderman Coons. Is there a second? Second? No.
Can I comment on this? Sure. Okay. I mean, to me, the only reason I was looking to remove that is, first of all, it was on the application, and to say it somehow wasn't, which it seems to be what this is doing, this seems wrong. And I worry about the fact that we're going to overreact to people. I imagine everyone on Wisconsin and North Park, if we ask them whether they want Community Fest or the Marathon or any one of 20 different events that happen right there, they may object. Well, we as a city need we need to move forward. We need to be conscious of residents, but not to the point where we go overboard in trying to strike things for that were in someone's application because, for whatever reason. I just think it's a strange motion, and I think it goes beyond what we needed to do.
Alderman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. There are some points that I can agree with you on the idea that someone having a tent and event on a city property and it's a closed event is disturbing. But in this case, they pay us $20,000 a year for rights to that lot, and I give them credit for that because when we use it, we don't pay them. So, in my opinion, they get a little bit of rights to that for that purpose. I do understand the idea of closing down areas. I would not agree with closing down the trail for a private event. I don't think I'd even close it down for a public event. That would be difficult in my books because it's linking communities. And then the last thing has to do with the reason we said with reference to the use of West North Water, they had an either or on the statement. And so we wanted to say that since you didn't know which one you were going to use, we are asking you to use the River Street. So thank you.
All right. Thank you. Alderman Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. To expand on Alderperson Bates's comments, I don't believe that the Loop the Lake Trail is going to be closed to this event. It'll be open. Me, myself, Pride, anybody that wants to use it. And the reason for the request for the street use permit was Plexus's desire to be able to control traffic in and around the island area where pedestrians were going to be interactive with, potentially with vehicles. So that was the reason that they had to apply for a permit, along with the fact that they were going to utilize a publicly owned space that they have an interest and option to purchase, typically for in the amount of $48,000 annually. Not that the dollar amount is relevant to the fact that they're being offered to use it, because we do need to walk gingerly down this path to make sure we manage, which is kind of what we're doing. We're managing the process as it evolves. And I think for us to recognize the official Loop the Lake route in this event, I think confirms the fact that we have identified a route and we want it to be used. If someone wants us to change the route, they should ask us. But no one has asked us to change the route. They keep implying this through some sort of subversive, and we were guilty of contributing to it by not recognizing that the actual groundbreaking event circumvented the very loop that we approved. So we helped contribute to this. No one has asked us formally, future Neenah staff, no one has asked us to change our formal designation of the loop. So really what the committee did was say, we want to recognize the loop because of the reactions that citizens in that area have given us to the rumored potential modification of the route. So I think we did a great job, and nothing is perfect. And as young as this endeavor is, we probably learn from it, and then we'll try to improve it.
Alderman Lundrum.
Thank you, Mayor. Could I ask the city clerk just to do a administrative change on there and just make sure that it says West North Water, because I think the distinction is very important, that it's West North Water instead of just North Water. Yep, just administrative.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, we'll just make sure it says. Thank you. Alderman Coons?
Thank you, Mayor. Just two say corrections. First of all, I wasn't trying to suggest any route change. My only suggestion was that put in the actual motion not to include North Water was just heavy-handed, and if anything else, it just brought more attention to North Water Street than if you just left it out. In that the paperwork had already taken care of it, we were going to use the route. I have no issue with the route. I wasn't trying to change that. Although I will have to say, I think there was something did come to the Public Service and Safety that you guys put on hold for 6 months to look at North Water Street or the route. So I do think there was an official request to look at that route, and right now it's held up in that committee to address and look at that issue. So, but my issue had nothing to do with the route itself or changing it. It was just our almost fear of mentioning a street or actually having on an application, really, because it wouldn't have been mentioned anywhere else. So that's all.
All right. Thanks for the explanation. I would just add most of the comments have been talked about, but Plexus is one of this community's largest employers. They're a large taxpayer. They pay us $48,000 a year to reserve the rights for that property, just for hopefully potential future economic development improvement. But this is a family build. I believe it's a family fun event, picnic. It's a picnic for the employees, whether it's on our land or land that they have the right to. I think Council President Stevenson's correct. We're kind of learning as we go here and careful about precedents and all that, but I don't worry too much about precedents anymore. There is a street use committee, just so you're aware. Jonathan Kufel from the police department, James Merton, myself, Director Kading. We meet regularly, monthly, on street use permits and special use permits, and we talked about this one this morning, and we were given some more information. Specifically, the route will be open for anyone to enjoy Loop the Lake. Their Plexus predicts their event will take about 1 hour, so it's not going to be an all-day event. They're having a family fun event, as I understand it, on the lawn. I don't even think they're having alcohol. You're told they so. I would hope that we would approve it. But anyone else?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Alderman Stevenson.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, fellow committee members, but I believe James did indicate during our discussion that he would be charging Plexus for costs. Is that correct? For the closures.
We are going to charge $400. Okay, all in favor of the approving the special use street use permit for the Plexus Family Run Walk? Vote aye. All opposed, vote no. That motion passes 9-0.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much for that report. Item number B, the regular Finance and Personnel Committee meeting of August 27, 2018. Chairperson Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. The regular Finance and Personnel Committee meeting of August 27, 2018. The minutes can be found on the city website. Item number 1, the committee recommends council approve entering into an agreement with MTM Technologies, Inc. to provide services and appropriate licensing to expand Citrix, VDI, disaster recovery, DR capabilities at a cost not to exceed $25,000, and to direct Director Winiger to report back to the committee with final costs for the project by the end of 2018. And I so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Stevenson. Comments or questions? Alderman Boyette?
I don't recall, I'm just looking, what was the funding source for this?
This is
In the
a
budget.
CIP. This is out of the CIP, correct? Director Wenninger? Come on up.
Yes, I believe that's like item 4, my CIP budget. It is a specific line item just for this project.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Seeing none, all in favor of this motion, vote aye. All opposed, vote no, using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0.
Item number 2, the committee recommends council approve the amended development agreement for lots 64, 65, 66, and 70 of Liberty Heights subdivision, and I so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Boyette, seconded by Alderman Coons. Motion by Alderman Erickson, seconded by Alderman Coons.
Just not.
Yeah.
Or of our dexterity.
Any comments or questions? This is an item that was sent back to committee for some clarification and had some good discussion, and there were a lot of good points brought up for information purposes. The City Water Commission met today, and the Water Commission did vote 5-0 to recommend that the Water Commission hold their portion of the costs and approve the amended development agreement and approve the holding of their costs of approximately $12,000 for the water department also. So I'll just bring that up. Anyone else? And also the developers here, we'd like to thank you for coming. In case anyone has any questions, he's also. All right, seeing no one, all in favor of the approving the amended development agreement, vote aye. All opposed, vote no, using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0. Okay.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Item number 10 is a report of special committees, various special project committees. In consideration thereof, there was no regular plan commission meeting. Item number B is Neenah Menasha Fire Rescue Joint Finance and Personnel Committee. Vice Chairman Coons or Council President Stevenson?
It's actually Chairman Coons now on that
Chairman.
one. Chairman. Yeah.
He got promoted.
He got promoted to chairman. All right. We'll make that correction. Thank you.
All right. Committee recommends the City of Neenah and the City of Menasha Councils approve Neenah Menasha Fire Rescue's 2019 cost distribution formula with the City of Neenah weighted share at 29.53% and the City of Menasha's weighted share at 40.47%. And I so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Coons, seconded by Alderman Stevenson regarding the cost distribution formula. Alderman, any discussion? Alderman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. And that was 59% for the City of Neenah. I did have a question, looking at the discussion going on there. It seemed that Menasha had some question about some of the impact of the different buildings they might have and whether or not they're occupied, and also the Appleton crossing of boundaries. Did that seem to work itself out at the committee?
If I may, that did come up, and it's an item that would be coming on an agenda at a later date. There was a Menasha wanted to take a look at that, but realizing there was no way we'd be able to do that in this time frame for the budget, and so really just a look at it, whether anything changes or not, whether there's a new formula, who knows, but.
Does that seem to be like it's going to be a future agenda item to work on that?
Yes, so it would be a future agenda item. Take a look at that. I'm not sure where it'll lead.
Thank you.
There was an amendment to this agreement a couple of years ago. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was going to comment on that.
Go ahead, Alex.
Since the merger 10 or 12 years ago, the financial people for both communities continue to monitor the agreed to cost sharing formula that was originally approved by both councils, and they continue to tweak it, and they continue to take those tweaks to the joint finance personnel committee or the Neenah Fire Rescue, and I think, as you indicated, Mayor, the maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I would describe the modification as probably a little bit more than a tweak, because we had five variables at that time, and I think it was total square footage of buildings that was deemed to be non-comparative and agreed to by both by all members of that joint committee, and now we've become aware of some other methodology that deserves some discussion regarding how mutual aid calls are being accumulated and charged, not charged financially, but charged to the formula, each of the communities. So to Chairperson Kuntz's credit, we recognize that wasn't a solution that was going to happen that night, and that we needed to put more effort into it, and probably a little more formal review of all the variables. So that's what I want.
All right, thank you for the explanation. Alderman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. Could you remind me, or perhaps the chief could, on how has our cost-sharing breakdowns been in the past? I mean, are we pretty much on a stable level? It looks like Mike's pretty
good. I think our high was just over 60%. At one point was Neenah, I think the highest share in Neenah was like 60.4-ish. And I don't know if we've ever been below 59.53. We may have, but it's never varied more than a point. Either way.
The average over the 12 or 13 year period is literally 60%, 40%. Literally what it's been, a little high, a little low, and it averages out. It's amazing how stable that formula is and has been in terms of cost certainty, or something that wouldn't necessarily create that sort of certainty, given the fact that you've got that change every year, but it's really been a stable, for the most part, as stable as we could expect it. So I would certainly hope that any look at this is thorough and thoughtful.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Seeing no one else, there's a motion to recommend the cost share distribution formula with the city of Neenah and Menasha be at the stated numbers. All in favor, vote aye. All opposed, vote no, using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0. And I know the chief's here, and just once again, Chief, I know just thanks to all the guys and the effort and that was put in on the fire in Menasha, and I think you guys did a great job. And all the other communities, you talk about Neenah, Menasha, they're looking at this, and when a MABUS call comes in and something big like this, it's good to know you got people watching your back, and all the different departments that showed up to give us a hand and man the stations while we were fighting the fire. Town of Harrison manned Menasha, took some calls. Town of Neenah manned a station, took some calls. So everyone did it. We had Algoma, town of Algoma, town of Oshkosh. So it doesn't happen often, but they're all there for us. And sometimes they're going to ask us for help too. So two-way street in this business, I think. So thank you very much, and tell the guys they did a great job. Nobody got hurt, so that was good.
Yeah, if I could just dovetail, Chief Clone sends out his monthly activity report, and I think that's evolved into a great tool. So I want to compliment you on expanding that report to be more than just a summary of the statistics, and to give us a real flavor for the community work that both our line staff and our representative people do. And particularly, I like that maybe the mayor was going to do this, so I'll steal his thunder, but the Locals 275, once again, help manage the 16th annual Mayor's Charity Golf event, and it raised $3,000 for the Neenah Art History and Art and the K9 unit, Neenah here. So, and those folks really put their heart and soul into managing this thing. And I just want to, on behalf of the council, I want to
Thank you very much. All right. Alderman Coons,
And that's in your report.
Thank you very much. The Board of Public Works meeting was held on August 29, 2018. Vice Chairperson Hillstrom.
Thank you, Mayor. The minutes from this meeting can be found on the city website. There's one informational item this evening and one council action item. The informational item is the board-approved pay estimate number 4 for contract 3-18, Nature Trail Subdivision, street construction, MMC Incorporated, Appleton, in the amount of $465,429.37. The council action item is the board recommends council award Washington Park Phase 2 construction contract to R&R Wash Materials, Ripon, in the amount of $143,168.08 to complete the revised work on the play and fitness area using budgeted 2018 CIP funds, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Hillstrom, seconded by Alderman Bates, to award Washington Park Phase 2 construction contract. Discussion. Alderman Boyette.
Thank you. I was just curious, for the play area and fitness area, is this to include the potential of the fire department helping build that playground, or is this totally separate? And have we heard anything more about that?
That's down the road, but go ahead. Director Kane, come on up. Just explain it. I believe that's in phase 3 or 4, right?
The fire department has expressed interest in helping out fundraise for the splash pad with the idea that we would make fire department themed spray equipment and things would look like a fire department. So that is not part of this phase. That would be part of that phase.
Okay, thank you. And is that still then moving forward with the fire department then?
Actually, I'm meeting with Brad next week, Tuesday, to further discuss it.
Thank you.
Alderman Hillstrom?
Yeah, Mike, if you want to stay there for a second. You just want to explain a little bit about the playground, what type this is, because it's something we don't have in the city of Neenah and have never had.
Yeah. The idea of this playground is to be a fully ADA universal playground. You will be able to roll anybody with a mobility impairment, grandparent, parent, child, whoever it might be, will be able to come off without any tripping hazards, or they'll be able to come right from the sidewalk onto the poured-in-place rubber surface, roll anywhere on the surface to get to any piece of equipment that they choose to get to.
And then as far as the fitness area, that grant money is?
That came from the community block grant funds to purchase the equipment. The remaining portion is coming from the 2018 CIP funds.
Thank you.
I do want to add, I heard before, we can talk about whether it's a community park or a neighborhood park, but that in itself, in my opinion, one of the things, splash pad, but maybe down the road, but the ADA accessible and the mobility play equipment is going to make Washington Park more than just a neighborhood park. It's going to make it a community park where people from all over the community, if you have mobility issues, you're going to want to go to that park and utilize that playground equipment. Alderman Stevenson.
Yeah, I just want to clarify. We use the term the fire department is leading this effort. I think, I don't want to misrepresent it to the community. It's Local 275, correct? Would be the one. So it's our firefighters representing union that would lead the fundraising activities if we truly choose to make it a fire department themed area. It's not our fire chief running out trying to raise money. It's got the
Local 275. They have a benevolent association, and they do charitable giving. And the mayor's golf outing next year will be part of that. If
Backdraft bike race.
Backdraft, those types of things. So thank you for pointing that out. Alderman Lundrum.
Thank you, Mayor. As for this being the first ADA compliant park, I was at Great Northern a couple years ago, and that looked ADA compliant too, with the wheelchair trails and accessibility. So,
as we begin to install, or as we have been installing play equipment, we try to make them as ADA compliant as possible. You are correct. Actually, Carpenter's Preserve has the entire surface is the rubber surfacing and allowing people. The difference between this will have ramping, and it'll have more lower ground components that make it much more accessible for anybody that might have mobility impairments.
okay, but people need to be aware too that our other parks are also.
And as we're
accessible.
transitioning, we're for maintenance purposes, for many different reasons, we're trying to go to the poured-in-place rubber.
So this won't be the only one that we have.
The difference is this will have ramping. So as you approach a piece of playground equipment, it might have a 6-foot or an 8-foot elevation. Someone through a series of ramps will have that opportunity to, in a much more easy fashion, make their way to the top of that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. But
Okay.
will we ever get the ramps in the other locations too?
It's really costly.
Okay.
I mean, to go fully ADA accessible for the entire unit is extremely costly. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for the question. Alderman Boyette.
One final question on the fitness areas. Are we talking like the park in, I don't even want to say like Menasha, but maybe it's town of Menasha. There's a park where they have an exit. You know which one I'm talking about?
I do.
Is that what this is going to be like?
It is and it's not. That has more, that's based more on body weight. And so as you're pushing, let's say you're doing a chest press, you're actually pushing your body up. This is going to be not core fitness. It's going to be more functional fitness, where you're not, you're using your body weight, but you're not pushing and moving parts. So it'll be functional, it'll be fixed assets that you're going to either pull up, lift up, push up on versus moving parts, which that's at Fritch has that type of fitness equipment.
Okay, thanks.
So when I push myself up off the couch, I'm actually fitness.
If you do it repetitively for 10 times in a row, 3 times, 3 sets, yes. Once at the end of the night, no.
In his case, twice would be an improvement.
Sorry, man, I had to go there.
Alderman Hillstrom.
One last thing. Mike, you want to explain why it's important to do this now and how this is connecting with Habitat, and then where the old playground equipment would go?
Certainly, we have an opportunity, and this is an opportunity that I've never. It's really relatively new to the playground industry. Is there's a company now that's reclaiming old playground equipment. Unfortunately, here in the States, because of liability, we can't pull it out of one park and put it into another park. We can't do that. However, this company is taking play equipment that's seen its life cycle here. They're taking it, reclaiming it, recycling it, refurbishing it, and then they're taking it to third world countries and then reinstalling it there. The connection with Rock the Block is they're going to be providing the volunteer effort to have it uninstalled and removed, and then this company will be overseeing that process and then taking the equipment and then taking it to a third world country.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so there is a motion and a second to award Washington Park Phase 2 construction contract bid to R&R Wash Materials. All in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 8-1.
That concludes my report, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Landmarks Commission, report from the Landmarks, Alderman Lang.
Thank you, Mayor. Landmarks Commission did not meet in August. However, the Landmarks Commission would like everyone to know that they'll be sponsoring the Fox of the River Voyager canoe for the Neenah Historical Society's 3rd annual powwow at Shattuck Park on Saturday, September 22nd from 12:30 to 4. The commission encourages you to come out to the powwow and take a free ride on the 26-foot canoe. From the water, you'll be able to see the landmark historical homes along the Fox River from a new perspective and imagine what it must have been like over 150 years ago when some of these amazing homes were first built. So we hope that you'll come out and enjoy the powwow at Shattuck Park and then take the opportunity to enjoy a paddle on the Fox River. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Sustainable Neenah Committee, is there a report tonight, Alderman Coons?
I have no report.
Thank you. Business Improvement District, Alderman Lang.
Thank you, Mayor. The bid board met last on August 21st. Several grants were reviewed and 3 were approved. The Summer Madness Sale was a success, and Downtown Employee Appreciation Day will be held next week on September 13th. Additionally, it was announced that the city will be conducting a revaluation of all properties in the city beginning in 2018 and ending in 2019. Also, the city conducted a public survey related to the South Commercial Street Business District and received a very high number of responses from business owners and area residents. Manhole Cover Madness, a future Neenah event, will be held this Saturday, September 8th, near Washington Park. And also, future Neenah Director Amy Barker announced that she will be leaving her position to pursue another career opportunity. So we just want to thank her for all she has done for the community and wish her well in her next position. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Item number G is a Bergstrom Mahler Museum report. Alderman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. The Bergstrom Mahler Museum of Glass Board of Directors met last Wednesday, and I would like to encourage everyone to attend Art After Dark on September 20th from 5 to 7 at the Bergstrom Mahler Museum. This month's theme is superheroes, so calling all superheroes to join for mini games throughout the museum, participate in mini games, and use a punch card and win a prize. In addition, the Bergstrom Mahler Museum offers both adult and youth classes, and I encourage you to visit the Bergstrom Mahler Museum website for that information. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. There are no petitions tonight. Any council directives anyone like to approach? Any unfinished business? Under unfinished business, I would just like to mention, this will be shown next Tuesday, as I understand it, all homeowners and all residences in the city of Neenah received their postcard for the garbage bins. We have literally had hundreds of people come to the rotunda here to view the garbage cans, the refuse containers. They want to touch them, they want to feel them, they want to see them for size, where they're going to go in their garage, things like that. They're asking a lot of questions. We have a fact sheet out there. Lots of times there's a department head out there or something that can ask questions. There are literally, this is a big decision for a lot of people. And so they want to come and see how big they are, how small they are. Those postcards, I just want to remind people, have to be in by when, Jerry?
September 14th.
September 14th. Really important. If we do not hear from you, the default is the largest 95-gallon container. This council, I think, is going above and beyond by giving its citizens the opportunity to make the choice. And so utilize your choice and come down and choose wisely. I will just editorialize a little bit and tell you that folks in town of Clayton, folks in Appleton, who have been utilizing these containers for many years have told me, Mayor, tell people to get bigger than what they think they need, because there will be times during the year, family, friends, birthdays, Thanksgiving, Christmas. There's a lot of times throughout the year, and you don't have to fill it each week. You can put it out there half full. So I guess I would just make, one person's suggestion is to choose wisely and make sure you're getting one that's large enough, because anything outside the can we will not pick up in that. When's it going to start? Sometime probably in October, as I understand it. October, late October. So I don't. All the final decisions haven't been made quite yet. But I just want to remind people, a friendly reminder, to get your postcard in. And for some people, they may get more than one postcard. Might get 2 or 3, and that's because you own rental property or whatever. It goes to the person who owns the property. And so then you have to make that decision for your tenant or get it to your tenant and see what they want. Because I've had instances where people said, well, I got 3 of them, and they didn't realize that they were for all 3 properties. So I just wanted to point that out too, because that's been a common question and theme here. So, Jerry, you have anything you want to add to that? Sorry. on the spot here, but
No, not really. I just want to thank the efforts of Judy and Greg on our staff in fielding the hundreds of calls that we've been getting upstairs and explaining things to people as clearly as we can provide them information right now.
been a lot of calls, lots of people coming in, and they're coming in just to view the garbage containers. A lot of people are excited about it. A lot of people have questions. But make sure you get your postcard in. That's what the important message for me is tonight. So under old business, first Alderman Coons.
Thank you, Mayor. You remind me with the garbage container discussion. My concern is we've sent out a notice giving 3 different sizes. There's a lot of different things in there in which the council hasn't dealt with this at all. It's still in committee, and so it's concerning that as it sits in committee waiting to make decisions are already being made. I'm not faulting that we have to move forward, but it is one where if we don't act, decisions will be made for us as a council. So I am concerned that those items aren't being moved forward.
I'll have Director respond as far as the timing of the committee actions.
Sure. We have taken the solid waste ordinance to committee. They had some requests last week, so that'll be coming back next week. The other decision that's kind of hanging out there that some residents have questioned are any fees related to the service. So that is going to Finance Committee on Monday.
Buttoning down those decisions, but point well taken.
And I appreciate it, all the work everyone's doing.
Alderman Steele.
Yes. So say you are an alderperson who knows better, but you might have accidentally recycled your card, and say you aren't an alderperson, but you've accidentally misplaced, lost, destroyed, the dog ate your card. Can you get another postcard? Or how would you do this?
If you want to contact our office, you just have the one address?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, this is all hypothetical.
This is all, right. I don't know what you mean.
Are you making accusations?
Yeah,
Are you making accusations to one of my aldermen?
We have a master list of the verification code that was on the cards that were sent out. So if we know your choices, we can have those selections entered in.
I'll tell my friend.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll be reprimanded in the morning. So
He'll be very happy about that.
all right. Well, good question. So that's the one thing under unfinished business I wanted to just deal with. Alderman Lundrum.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to clarify, too, if somebody is not comfortable with getting the larger size, some people are worried about that, to not forget that the few times that you feel that you will have more than you need, the city garage is open often. So you can make a special trip out there as many times as you need, but to not feel completely pressured to get the largest size.
Sure. Thank you for that. That question has come up too from some folks. Will we be keeping the city garage? And I said at this point, I've seen no reason. There's been no effort to talk about that or anything. So, so then the next under new business, item number 14. I have a couple things, but I'll let anyone else have any new business to discuss. Alderman Lundrum.
I just want to make sure that you don't forget to mention Manhole Madness. You forgot? Okay. It's just going to be a fun weekend between the free entertainment at Seafood Fest. Bring cash. You're going to want that for the food trucks. But don't forget to go to the Manhole Madness fun, the obstacle course on Saturday. You can go earlier on Saturday and go to the manhole cover festivities and then go to Seafood Fest after. And then, or you can go Friday night Seafood Fest, Saturday manhole cover, and Packers game, right? On a Sunday. So it'll be a really fun weekend.
The problem is for the community, this will air on Tuesday, but as far as council members, this is a good reminder. Alderman Boyette, do you have something? Okay. Anyone else? And then I would just like two things. We are experiencing a lot of rain, and I will tell you that our crews are working very hard on doing the best they can to keep these storm water sewers and that open. And we have had, I don't know how many inches of rain. There's been a lot of late nights by people, by Rick Freezy and that, and they're working very hard. I know there's a lot of frustrated citizens out there. There's some wet basements. I don't know about sewer backups, but there's been some wet basements for sure. There's been streets that have been flooded. But the one thing that I've noticed is, after like last Tuesday when we had our public works meeting, it rained really hard at 5, and at 9 p.m. still, at 5 you couldn't get around the city of Neenah. It was pretty, but our crews were all out putting barricades, trying to make sure that people could get safe passage, things like that. People, stayed over, got called in, did what they could. I just remind people that, when the street's flooded and you got a big Ford F-250, you don't want to go through it 40 miles an hour because those waves are pushing up against people's houses. And I've seen videos of that. And we're truly trying to help our neighbors keep the water away from their homes. And there's some problems areas in the city that we're going to have to address at some point. But they're working very hard, and so Jerry, make sure you tell the crew they've been doing a good job and trying to stay ahead of this rain game. We got pumps out in certain areas, pumping water out of some problem areas of the city, and we try to get on top of that and stay ahead of it so that we don't have backups in that. Really important to us. So Jerry, got anything else today? Okay, and then lastly. When we adjourn tonight, I know this is a little unusual, but when we adjourn tonight, I want to adjourn in honor of my good friend and our good friend, Senator Mike Ellis, who passed away a month ago, less than a month ago. If you read the Neenah notes that just came out, I just want to adjourn in his honor. I know Mike a long time. He was my colleague. He was my mentor. And Neenah lost a really great leader who had a huge impact on this Fox Valley. I don't care if you were a Republican or Democrat, Mike Ellis cared about the people. He loved the game. He loved the politics. He was quite an orator. But he really cared about the citizens of Neenah. And so many times in closed-door meetings, I can't quote exactly what he said because it would be bleeped out. But he cared about the people, more than the politics, more than the partisan political games. And he tried very much to make sure that the communities that he represented were always well taken care of. And Neenah in particular, because Neenah was Mike's home. He grew up on the island, or as he would call it, Dogtown. Affectionately, he would call it Dogtown. And he grew up there, and his dad worked at Kimberly-Clark. So Neenah lost a great leader, not just here, but in Madison. And Mike cared deeply about the future of Neenah. So tonight when we adjourn, I want to adjourn in honor of my friend and colleague and mentor, Senator Mike Ellis. With that, anyone else? If not,
in honor of Senator Ellis, I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor of adjournment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.